Welcome. I'm glad you're here. We're going to take a look at the Nintendo Direct, which Nintendo has just published about 9 hours ago. This shows us Kirby Air Riders, presented by Masahiro Sakurai. And I want to point out one key factor. I'm not going to go over everything in today's show, and this episode will be a bit short, but I want to go over one key factor that lets us know this will be an excellent video game. I want to explain how you can tell this is going to be an excellent video game. So we're going to take a look at just one key factor today. If you're interested in me covering this topic any further, you may let me know in the comments below. So my name is Jarrell. I develop games for a living. I'm currently working on a monster raising battling game. I'm taking a short break from that for a couple days just to make a Halloween homebrew game. I really enjoy the challenge of making homebrew games, so I'm doing a free one that's just a cool horror vibes, and I'll show a little bit of progress of that at the end of the video. So let's take a look and just play this. I'm starting at about a minute in here, and we'd see. You'd be right. I mean, let's see. In any case, I'll keep the news coming at a good pace to keep things exciting. By the way, in response to the previous presentation, I'll go ahead and just get myself out of here now. So top right is a mode from the previous game. It is a race with a top-down perspective. It's a pretty short mode that you play while viewing the race from above, so this is different from the main gameplay mode. Adding it to this game would be quite the ordeal, and there's already so much content that we figured fans wouldn't be too upset if we left it out. We'd be forgiven. At least that's what I thought, but we did it anyway. And that is everything you need to hear. That's everything you need to know in order to understand that this game is going to be excellent. And so these series of statements let us know that as a developer, Sakurai-san has considered what people think about the game as they are playing it, how they engage with it, how they feel about it. There's an issue that you find with many modern games, especially from the AAA side of the games industry, and that is that developers have not considered or cared what they think about how players feel about the game, how the game makes a player feel, and the way that they engage with it on a deeper level beyond pushing buttons. The reason why we're seeing a shift in the AAA industry is because it is being dominated by management that only cares about monetization. And feeling and monetization have no correlation. The AAA games industry generally wants to design games with dark design. This is a technical term, and that they they directly influence the way you think, and they force you into engaging with the product in a very specific way, and that specific way is with monetization. For example, if they have a button that says, do you want to buy the DLC, and the button to buy the DLC will be this massive green, glowing, sparkly button on the screen that says, yeah, get the DLC. It's this big, flashy, glowing thing, and has a huge presence, and then off to the corner, and very small, there's a small, black, ugly, gray, colorless button that says, no. That's a form of dark design, and you are influencing and trying to make the end user engage with the product in a specific way, specifically to engage with monetization. That is what the AAA games industry is focusing on. So the people that are in charge of making decisions don't think about the end user experience. They don't think about what the end user thinks. They don't think about what the end user feels. That is the exact opposite approach that Sakurai-san takes with his game development. His series of statements here shows us that he thinks about the players. He thinks about how the players feel. He thinks about what they think, and he thinks about the engagement between the game and the player, the user. He deeply considers moment to moment, how would a player feel about this particular moment? How would a player feel about engaging with the game in this particular way? And that is exactly how to tell whether or not this game is going to be great. And we can see that he has considered these. This is heartening to see. I honestly wasn't that excited for this game because I don't have much leisure time. I generally don't get that excited about games, but after just within the first 2 minutes of seeing this, I am now very excited, and this is the game that I'm looking forward to the most right now, and that is because Sakurai cares about the end user experience. He cares about what the player feels when they engage with the game. And moment to moment, he considers, how do you make the game feel good? How do you make it feel rewarding and engaging? How do you make it feel fun? And this is something that the AAA games industry in general does not do anymore. So this is old-fashioned, the way that he's approaching his game development, his core concept, his design, his moment-to-moment decisions. This is old-fashioned. And I strongly believe that we need more old-fashioned values in the games industry. That's what I wanted to discuss with you today. I'll put a link to the direct here. So I hope you've enjoyed today's discussion. This is a bit more of a philosophical discussion and less of a look at the content that's in the trailer here. If you're interested in me taking a look at the direct further and sharing my thoughts on this more, please let me know. I'll show you a little bit of progress on the Halloween homebrew game that I'm making, and I'm hoping I can finish that up today and I can get that launched and we can all just enjoy some fun, spooky vibes. Let's take a look. I've been working on a game framework that will let me make action adventure games very quickly. I have been considering creating an anthology series of short horror stories, and I want to evoke the spirit and try to call back to old stories that we saw from The Outer Limits, The Twilight Zone, then Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark, and in a way how Outer Limits and The Twilight Zone were the late 50s and the 60s. They were these anthology horror stories. It is Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark that carried that spirit forward. And so I've been considering, I would really like to see that kind of spirit carried forward in our modern day media. And so I've been working on a series that I can just create short anthology horror stories, and maybe once a month I can create just a short game that people can enjoy, these cool, fun horror stories, and they can explore. And I would be following the design philosophy of Outer Limits, Twilight Zone, Goosebumps, Are You Afraid of the Dark? So I hope you're looking forward to that. You can see what the first game in this horror anthology series will look like, and this will launch before Halloween so we can just enjoy some spooky vibes. Thanks very much for spending some time with me today. Take care of yourselves. Be well. Do your best.